Here's what you need to know about your city. We're bringing you a special recap of the city's biggest party of the year, Hometown Holidays, with interviews, coverage of the Memorial Day ceremony and parade, and we go one-on-one with Councilmember Bridget Newton.
I felt my gas mask split or slip around, and I bent my head to straighten it out. And just as I bent my head, the German sniper fired a bullet which went in here, and because I had my head bent, it came out through the top of my helmet instead of through my forehead. But it was like getting hit in the head with a sledgehammer, because I went face forward into the ground, sure I'd been hit, and told my buddy behind me, run your hand through my head. And I figured he was going to come out with a handful of blood, but it came out clean. So I jumped up and said, good, I wasn't hit. So we continued to go up, and we got George, and the medic took care of him. We strapped him onto the tank destroyer. But before we continued to go up the hill, I told the young man who was manning the machine gun on the tank destroyer to turn around and shoot behind, which would be behind me, because the sniper had to be someplace behind that a bullet would go dead center of my helmet, and because I bent my head, came out dead center of the top. And so when we got back to battalion headquarters, the major asked me, did I know where the helmet was? I said, up in the field someplace. He said, go find it and I'll send it to your parents. I said, oh no. I'm reared by adopted family, and they're my grandparents by birth, and this would upset them something terrible. I said, but you know, my high school girlfriend comes from a military family. And I said, they'll get it and look at it and say, oh, isn't that neat? And so that's what happened to it. When I got back out of the Army, I went to her house and they gave it to me. And ever since then, my children, and I had 7 of them, had taken it to show and tell. And I'm sure some of the grandchildren and great-grandchildren are going to want to do the same thing. So that leaves me with a helmet which I somehow or another have got to leave. So one of the children will take care of it so all of them can use it to go to take to school. And that's the end of my story about that incident. I've got loads of others, but
Mary is here to give us some historical insight onto the of the parade, and this is a parade that's pretty historically significant because it's been going on for 67 years.
That's right, but I think in order to understand the parade, you need to know the origins of Memorial Day itself. Memorial Day was created after the Civil War. A few years after that, a man by the name of John Logan set aside May 30th as the day that we would honor all of the Confederate and Union soldiers by going out and decorating their graves with American flags. So at first it was called Decoration Day, which many people don't realize. But gradually it would be called Memorial Day, and that's the day that would stick, essentially. He proclaimed May 30th as Memorial Day because it was the only day that it was not an anniversary of a battle, which most people don't realize. Today, Memorial Day has also included all soldiers who have fallen while serving in the military itself. Here in Rockville, what's interesting about that is it was black residents who actually started the tradition of a homecoming picnic and parade down Washington Street. And this was all in the early 20th century. By the 1930s, the American Legion Post had taken over, but then they stopped because of the Great Depression and we went into World War II. It was a man by the name of William Wood. We've seen the Wood family today. He, in 1944, decided to revive the tradition. He was a third-generation Hayti resident. He was from Martins Lane, where the parade actually starts. And he revived it, and so that now we're on to 67 years of this wonderful parade.
Mary, why is it important that the city keeps a parade like this, the tradition going every year, do you think?
Well, I think a lot of people think of a Memorial Day now as a day to go out shopping or to watch the Indianapolis 500. Here in Rockville, we really remember and honor those fallen soldiers. You saw that today through the wreath laying, the gun salute. If you go to our local cemeteries, the soldiers' graves have been decorated with American flags. And finally, it's just, this is a great hometown event. We're a city of 60,000 people, yet here anybody and everybody can participate, and it really makes it feel like a small town, and that everybody can come together and have a great time.
Today is the culmination of a great weekend of hometown holidays. Wanted to get your thoughts on how the weekend went and how things are going today.
Well, I think this has been really one of the great hometown holidays. First of all, we got almost 100% great weather, a little bit of rain Friday night, but it didn't affect the event, so that was good. And we had a lot of wonderful music on the stages, over 40 bands, so much great local music, and then our national headline bands did a terrific job. Our last-minute substitute of Taj Mahal turned out to be a wonderful concert that seemed to be extremely well received. The Taste of Rockville was an enormous hit. It was just so crowded. But these restaurants, I think, had a great weekend and introduced a lot of people to their food and made some money for charity. A lot of that money from Taste of Rockville goes to community ministries and the Chamber of Commerce for their activities. So we're really pleased with that. Our Rockville Recreation and Parks Foundation did the beverage sales and made a lot of money, and that'll end up helping children go to camp this summer and participate in recreation programs, so that was a good thing. And I think the businesses looked like they were busy, so the event did its job. We had, I think, about 65,000 people here over the 2 days. That's our estimate, and everybody just seemed to be having a great time.
Wanted to check in with you, Chief, about how the weekend is going from a public safety perspective.
Well, we're in the first day, and it's a beautiful day. We've got a great crowd. It's just going perfect. This is exactly what we want each and every year. Happy people, seeing a lot of music, visiting the crafts and fairs and our businesses, so it's delightful.
The city sees a large volume of people that come through for this event every year.
They do. It's estimated that over the 3 days we can get over 100,000 people in the city. It's an amazing thing. At nighttime, when we have the main concerts, you just see a sea of people out there, and it's pretty amazing.
So any special work for your officers over the weekend? Anything different that they're on the lookout for?
Well, they're here, plus doing their normal duty, and they're just here to help people and assist and make sure that we have an orderly and a good time.
Well, from the looks of things, it seems as though people are having fun right now.
Absolutely, they sure are.
Chief, wanted to switch gears and talk to you about an exciting project that's happening, and it's moving pretty quickly, the new police headquarters.
And we're just so happy about it, right up the street at the old post office and the annex. They're moving so fast on it that hopefully by this time next year we might even be seeing us partially in there. So we're pretty happy about it. It opens up space at City Hall. It provides a state-of-the-art police agency complex right in the heart of the city for everyone. And frankly, we can't wait for it to get done.
How excited are you to have all your officers under one roof?
Well, I think that's good. It's one-stop shopping all the way around, communication between everybody, both our civilian and sworn staff. It's just a good thing. When we're set out into 3 or 4 different locations, sometimes it's difficult to make sure that information flows fluently.
And I think it'll be great that the department will be closer to town center.
Well, we're happy with that. Close to town center, close to City Hall, close to the courts, close to the metro, close to the bus line. So yeah, you couldn't ask for anything better.
Well, we know you have the Public Safety Awards coming up in a couple weeks. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I believe it's our 20th or 21st Public Safety Awards, and we're just delighted about it. The fire department, the corrections, and the sheriff's department and us And I believe we've got about 20 different awardees this year, and it's just a nice time where these men and women are recognized for the things they do each and every day on the job.
I think it's nice how we recognize other jurisdictions in terms of, being there for the community.
Well, we absolutely agree with that. We're all in this together. We're all trying to do the same thing, serve the community and make it as safe and as comfortable as possible for everyone. So I think it's a good thing, and we're delighted that we have it that way.
Thank you for joining us. I have a special guest. We're here at Hometown Holidays Live with Senator Jenny Forehand. Senator, thank you so much for joining us on the live stage.
Thanks. It's my pleasure to be here on such a special day.
Senator, we enjoyed coming to see you down in Annapolis earlier this year. We learned a lot about what District 17 has been working on. We wanted to check in with you on some of the priorities, but first, wanted to get some of your memories of Hometown Holidays.
I have wonderful memories of hometown holidays. We moved to Rockville when Woodley Gardens first started 50 years ago. The first people moved in 1961, and I have such great memories of my children coming here to watch the parade, and my son was walking along the wall and then crawling in the grass, and I hope everyone will go into City Hall to see the mural about the Rockville Parade. And the parade was started by Mr. William Wood, who was a resident of Martins Lane. His daughter has been recently the minister of Jerusalem United Methodist Church here in downtown Rockville. And so it just brings the whole community together on this day. And then to see all the people who've made such beautiful things with their artwork, and to hear the music and have the great food. It's just terrific, and it's free. People can come here and wander around and stay as long as they like, and the concerts tonight and tomorrow night are just really exciting too.
Wanted to talk to you a little bit about what you mentioned about the 50th anniversary of Woodley Gardens. You were one of the first residents. Can you tell me what it was like when you first bought your home there?
It was great. There was mostly young families. As a matter of fact, when my daughter was 6 weeks old when we moved in, and when she was ready to go to kindergarten, I think there were 19 kindergartners going into the new Woodley Gardens School, which is now the Senior Center. But they were all in the same class there. So it was something that was brand new, and previously Rockville had been thought of as being a sleepy little town and kind of way away. In fact, we had been looking for a house in Bethesda, and when we told the realtor that we were buying a house in Rockville, she said, "Oh, well, I didn't know you wanted to live in the boonies." And I'm so glad we did. Back then, Interstate 270 was a sleepy little Route 240. And everything's changed, but people are still very friendly here, and if you want to, you get to know so many people. And that elementary school for my kids has been the Senior Center for a long time, and Bill Hanna and I helped make that happen.
Well, Senator, I know that you've been serving the community for over 4 decades. How do you make sure that our interests are kept top of mind in Annapolis?
Well, we work really hard at it, but I think the people from Rockville come and are really leaders, not just in Rockville, but in the county and in the state. And my delegates are Kumar Barve, Jim Gilchrist, and Louis Simmons, and the 4 of us really focus on the things for Rockville.
From the Recreation Foundation, I've got Esther Walker here and Charlie Carocchio, Vice President and President of the Foundation. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Well, we wanted to let our viewers know a little bit about the Recreation Foundation. Can you give us some background on what that is?
Well, the Recreation and Park Foundation is established as a 501c3 charitable organization to generate funds for different rec and park activities, amenities, and things like that. That's the primary purpose.
So, I would imagine that during tough economic times, people who want to send their kids to rec and parks activities need your help even more. Would you agree?
Definitely. It's very important for the young people in our community to have activities for them to do, and our foundation is a way for people to make donations to help them go to camp.
Well, I know that you guys are newly formed as a nonprofit. I think that's great because although the city has pretty reasonable rates for a lot of their classes and activities, it's sometimes even too steep for some people.
Right, that's correct. And so our foundation is a way to help individual residents, families, to be able to afford the camps and recreation programs that they want to go to.
We sent a number of kids to camp last summer. We also helped subsidize the robotic contest that they had last summer, and we do things like that. That's what we're trying to do.
Oh, that robotics camp, we covered some of that with Bob Eckman, and what a great program, and the kids got so excited. That's wonderful. Rockville is known for a lot of things, but their Rec and Parks programs are kind of the crown jewel with a lot of amazing programs for kids of all ages, really. If people want to get involved, what should they do, Esther?
One, they can go to our website, which is
It's rrpfi.org.
One more time, Charlie.
rrpfi.org.
Okay, and all the information is on there?
Yes, it is. It's correct. And if any further information could be addressed from that website or to the City of Rockville.
Great. I'm joined with a very special guest, Chair of the Planning Commission, John Tyner. John, thank you so much for joining us.
Delighted to have you come.
Well, John, we're here to talk about a very important topic, Rockville's Pike.
Rockville's Pike is better known to the Planning Commission as the consultant's plan for Rockville Pike.
I see. I know. There's been a lot of history with this plan, and I wanted you to give our viewers some background on where the plan has been and where we are now.
The plan as given by the current consultants was based pretty much on the 1989 plan for Rockville Pike, which many of us were involved in. And that in turn was based on the Arthur Cotton Moore plan that was done here for downtown area when they were getting rid of the old mall. So each plan has done some things that they thought would be great in the city. Most of it never happened, but each elements of each plan got rolled into the next one because they made sense. And that's what put it all together. And I think that Johnny Longo, who's our consultant, has put some stuff in this plan which pretty much relates to how we did it in 1989. There are some adjustments which we can talk about, but it's next step in how the citizens of the city really like to see what's going to happen in Rockville. And that's what the consultant's plan is, and why we call it that, because we've had over 110 citizens comment to us already. It's one of the reasons we extended the public comment now to September 27th, because this summer all our work sessions are going to do with transportation and traffic and so forth. We've asked Chief Treshik to come in and tell us, okay, this is the plan, now tell us how it's not going to work from an enforcement position. I don't know if he's comfortable doing that, but I think we need some reality in some of the things that have been talked about in this plan. The plan says that we would run major traffic down the middle, and then the feeder lanes on either side would be for bus and bicycle and pedestrians. And as some of your listeners may know, Rockville Pike's taken the White Flint Plaza has taken exactly the opposite, running the buses down the middle and then everything else on the side. As far as the citizens are concerned, they like what we've got. They're very concerned about traffic and the getting up and down the pike. And as many of my colleagues on the commission do, we're trying to figure out how can you improve it even with what the plan is setting there. They're also very concerned about what they might consider cut-through traffic on Jefferson Street, on Fleet Street, and so forth. The big issue we have for us is that the east side of the pike, of course, is bound by the MARC tracks and Metro, so the east side of the city doesn't have much access to what we're doing. The other big kettle of fish in this is the Woodmont Country Club. You know, they're a successful country club. They have no intention of redeveloping at the moment. But they have a nice chunk of what's the frontage on Rockville Pike. The main effort that's going to happen will be down in the Twin Brook area. There's much room to do some things down there, as well.
Thank you. And you brought up the White Flint sector plan. Doesn't it make sense for those two plans to match up?
Yes, it does if it can do, but I would just say that there's a lot of skepticism as whether the bus rapid transit or BRT is actual fundable. Can it actually be done? White Flint is 1.5 miles. Our part of the pike is 2.2 miles. Can you imagine rapid transit bus coming as far as Edmondson, and where's it going to go north of here? At least on Rockville Pike, we've got the right-of-way that's there, that's 200 and some feet. But when you get up to Frederick Avenue, Hungerford and all that, you know, where's it going? And once again, it's the same situation as funding at the county and the state level. The CCT, the transit that's going up to Clarksburg, that took 6 years just to get through the system. One thing for your listeners to know is that the Pike plan, when a planning commission gets through with it, we transmit it to the mayor and council as our recommendation. There's going to be a long build out. This is not anything that's going to happen in 2 to 8 years. We're looking at 20 years for any of this to really happen, because the key to it is the property owners on the Pike, what they want to do and how can they maximize the use of their property. And that's when we get into form code zoning, which we'll be dealing with in September.
So it's a good thing that this public comment period has been extended so people can weigh in and...
at any time, absolutely. Particularly since the heart of it all is the transportation network, which we're going to be working on 4 different work sessions this summer. We will be having a work session strictly on financing. What's available, how could it possibly be done, whether it's 2 years or 10 years. When we look at the other jurisdictional levels, the county and the state and the feds, who's got a lot of money to do these? So I mean, that's a reality that we need to look at as we go ahead and to see what we do recommend. There will be some cases where we'll do some straw votes because we've already made some smaller decisions on a number of the issues that are in the plan. I won't mention them right now, but we'll be working with that too. It's important for the citizens to continue commenting, and they can watch the second longest running soap opera in town, Planning Commission. It gets redone, as you know, on your channel.
Yes,
and they can do Granicus and to pick up a particular issue in a meeting if they want to. But that's so important. That's what we're waiting on. We've had great input from the citizens and from the developers because what we got to come up with is a plan that fits Rockville as and its citizens more than anything else.
For our number 3 story, it's our regular segment, Mayor and Council One-on-One, where this time we sat down with Councilmember Bridget Newton to talk about the school overcrowding issue. Can you give our viewers some background on where we stand with the whole issue and what's been going on so far?
I think the problem dates back many, many years, and it's caused, in my opinion, by the wealth of resources that Rockville has, and people want to live here. That brings young families, young people starting families, as well as the families who've been here as long or longer than I have. And we don't calculate, MCPS doesn't calculate their student population in a way that allows for turnover in homes. And we sort of got behind the 8 ball. We have 4 elementary schools in the Richard Montgomery cluster, and all of them are or soon will be in the immediate future beyond capacity. There are, I think, 8 portables now at Bell. We have portables even at College Gardens, the newest of the elementary schools, recently redone. So I think we need to look at that in the whole big picture.
And how does it work in terms of the city's role in the school overcrowding issue? So for people who don't know, the county runs the schools, but yet they're within city limits. So how does that work exactly?
Well, it means we need to be a team. We need to work together. But what the city has is an APFO, which is supposed to be a guide on development so that we can keep the schools that we have and the quality, maintain the quality we have, but also allow for positive development when the infrastructure is there. So one of the things that we're working with MCPS on is the feasibility studies that they're doing for the new elementary school. Right now they're calling it Richard Montgomery No. 5, which the site that they're looking at is the old Hungerford Stone Ridge Elementary site over on Edmonston Road, as well as additions at 1 or more of the current elementary schools, and in addition at Julius West Middle School. We will soon, within the next year, I believe, be out of Julius West Middle School in terms of capacity.
What have you been hearing from residents? You're on the council now, but you have a long history with the PTA. serving as vice president and president over at Bell. What have you been hearing from residents over this issue?
Well, I think it's interesting. All 4 PTAs passed a resolution recently, their own resolutions, and they're all the same. They all are asking for MCPS to do these feasibility studies and put a new elementary school as well as additional capacity at one or more of the others, and look at a whole school, cluster-wide solution so that we can allow for reasonable growth in Rockville, but maintain the quality that's what brings people here.
You brought up the APFO. Currently, there's a committee that's looking at the APFO, and I know that there's a public meeting coming up, but then also it'll go before Planning Commission and Mayor and Council. So there are opportunities for residents to get involved in that process.
Yes, and I don't know when this segment will air, but the APFO committee, I believe, meets almost every Thursday night at 7 o'clock at City Hall. It's a subcommittee of the Planning Commission, and next week on June 2nd, they will hold a public hearing. Anyone's welcome to come and testify, and then the committee will continue its meetings and come up with their decision, which will then go to the Planning Commission, and as you said, then to us. So there's plenty of opportunity for people to get involved, either personally testifying or letters to the committee or the mayor and council.
Is there any concern, Councilmember Newton, given the work that's been done to date with the new superintendent coming on board?
I don't think so. I think it's going to be a positive transition. I've heard good things about Joshua, I can't think of his last name.
Dr. Starr.
Thank you, yeah. Joshua Starr. And I think change is always difficult in some ways, but it also is an opportunity for positive growth. So I look forward to that. And one thing people may not realize is how much Rockville does do for our schools in the city. The city has provided funding for enhanced gymnasiums at several of the elementary schools. We provided for partial funding for the turf field at Richard Montgomery, as well as the signboard, the scoreboard at Richard Montgomery High School. We do a lot of things. We've just signed an MOU with the county that hopefully will facilitate better working relationship in terms of new development and changes that MCPS needs.
Well, Rockville is definitely known for its schools, among other things, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens with this process. Anything else you'd like to add in terms of how residents can get involved or the next steps for this process?
Well, I think the next steps, most importantly, are get involved in your local PTA, support what they're trying to do, work together to enhance the communication and bring a positive result. And as I said, there's a public hearing on June 2nd. There's plenty of opportunity to get involved, and I think what we have to come together as a city to decide is what quality of life, what quality do we want to maintain in our schools, and protect the neighborhoods that we have, that people value so highly and are the reasons we all live here.
It's official, the mayor and council adopted the fiscal year 2012 budget. Work on the FY12 budget began last October. The mayor and council held 4 work sessions and 3 public hearings. The FY12 budget is the 4th consecutive year without a tax increase, which will remain at 29.2 cents per every $100 of assessed property value. The adopted budget goes into effect July 1st. Here are some of the highlights. The total operating budget of the $107.2 million budget for fiscal year 2012 is an increase of 2.3% from fiscal year 2011. The general fund budget is $66 million, which is an increase of 4.6%. The fiscal 2012 capital improvements program is $72.3 million and supports 51 projects. The FY12 budget includes the homeowners tax credit program. This state-administered program provides real property tax credits to low and moderate income residents for property taxes on their principal residence. The FY12 budget includes a 2.7% increase over FY11 in funding given to caregiver agencies. The mayor and council also agreed to add $60,000 for a new bank shop basketball court and $27,000 for senior bus service. And residents will see an increase in utility rates for water, sewer, and stormwater services. The FY12 budget is the 4th year of a 4-year plan for water rate increases that pay for a long-term project to upgrade the aging water system. To learn more about the city's FY12 budget, go online to rockvillemd.gov and go to the It's Your Money page. For our number 1 story, we wanted to let you know about some of the events happening this summer that you don't want to miss. The Farmers Market is happening every Saturday and Wednesday in Rockville Town Center, where you can check out the area's best local produce, cheeses, and wines. Go to rockvillemd.gov/events to learn more. Also, the Rockville Rotary Twilight Run Fest is coming up July 16th. It's one of the most popular races in the region, where runners follow an 8K course starting in Rockville Town Center, culminating with a festive concert. And finally, wanted to make sure you knew about the Rockville Open happening Friday, July 22nd and Saturday, July 23rd at Redgate Golf Course. Sign up begins June 15th and ends July 17th. Go to redgategolf.com to learn more. Well, that's it for this edition of Rockville's 11. All these stories and more can be found online at rockvillemd.gov.